horrified by the Labour Party's position on Gaza. It was actually what led me to leave the party.
Right.
It was after Keir Starmer a while ago said, I think it was on LBC, that Israel had the right basically to commit war crimes by denying food to people within Gaza. Everything we've seen since then, I mean, I don't know about you, I've found it just difficult to sleep, difficult to watch, knowing that our government is sending weapons to this regime, sending resources to this regime. Weapons that are being produced in the UK, it hasn't,
sure.
And sending resources to this regime, and is on the side of this massive military-industrial complex that spans the Atlantic, that is fueling Israeli power and being used to like rip the limbs off children in Palestine. I think it is going to be the defining moral issue of our age. And, you know, I don't spend a lot of time talking about just issues that are just an issue of morality, right? I spend a lot of time talking about economics, about building power, about kind of practical and strategic considerations. I consider this to be a defining moral failure for the Labour Party. And I don't think, be able to forgive the politicians that are behind it.
When the Iraq War was happening, I remember going on a lot of the marches. Then I wrote a lot about that. I was quite very sort of junior journalist, young journalist at the time, but I wrote quite a lot about it. I remember going to the biggest demonstration.
Yeah, my mum was there.
Park, like 1 million people there.
Yeah.
And you were at it, and you walking through it, being in Hyde Park afterwards, thinking this is enormous, this is massive, this has got to change something. And then leaving it, because I had to file, I think I was writing for the Glasgow Herald, had to go and file something, coming out onto Oxford Street, which was precisely as busy as it always was. And you suddenly thought, oh, and I wonder, I'm interested in what you think about this idea that, I mean, I wrote a column suggesting this last week, that politically speaking, Starmer has handled Gaza rather well because he has not struck that moral position. And because actually there are a lot of people who don't want to hear that moral position. And had he struck that moral position, he would have been able to be attacked by people who take the opposite moral position, who do exist, and he would have got stuck in the mire that Jeremy Corbyn got stuck in.
We know that there is huge, widespread support for a ceasefire. And as this conflict has gone on...
He's supporting a ceasefire.
Well, okay, he's supporting whatever it is, like the wording has been different. It's deliberately been created to, whatever. You know, there were those of us that looked at the development of this and saw what has happened coming a long time ago and said, we need to stop this right now. And Keir Starmer demurred from doing that, allegedly in order to kind of preserve some sort of political capital. Firstly, you know, I just find that argument just a complete, just morally abhorrent, basically. Right. The idea that you would put like preserving your political capital ahead of just what we are going to look back on as like potentially the source of the long-term shift where the West completely and utterly loses legitimacy.